Welcome to the One Community Project's weekly webinar series brought to you by ProviderSearch.com. You can join us every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time to gain insights from different professionals around the world. My name is Tyler Burke, and I'm the webinar organizer and today's moderator. It is my pleasure to introduce Lois Jean Brady to today's program. Lois is a practicing speech-language pathologist, and she's certified as an autism specialist and holds a certification in assistive technology and in computer-based interventions. She authored the award-winning book, Apps for Autism, and develops highly effective communication and speech technology. Lois is also a two-time winner of the Autism Hackathons in the San Francisco Bay Area. So, Lois, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you. And I just want to make sure my screen popped up there.
You're up.
Okay, excellent. Okay, well, thank you very much, Tyler, for having me. Today I'm going to talk about the iPad features and everything that the iPad has to offer. When I first started using the iPad, I didn't think too much about the features because I know we all get very excited about the apps. And the apps can do so much for our students and our children. But then I tried one of the features, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this makes it a little bit more efficient. It gives me a little bit more control over what we're doing and a little bit more power. And I was able to reach some of my students better than I could just using the plain app. So then I took some time and I really got to know the features. And Apple has put over 200 features into each and every device you have, and some of them are so helpful for our students that I really started thinking, oh my gosh, people need to know about these features because they take the apps and the iPad and they just boost them. So today we're going to talk about the features of the iPad. I think I'm getting on the wrong screen. Okay. Did that switch over? Tyler, can you let me know if that switched over? There we go.
There
okay.
you go. Yep.
I think, okay, we got it now. So first we're just going to talk a little bit about just getting to know your iPad. There are some external features, and I know we're pretty much familiar with these, but I wanted to point out that the microphone is on the top and the speakers are on the bottom. So as you're having your students or your children or you yourself are recording, you're going to make sure you record into the top of your device, and when you're listening, or monitoring yourself, you're going to be listening from the bottom of the device. And that's kind of important because we do a lot of recording on these devices with our students and our children. The next is size. And we don't really think of that as a feature, but it is a feature. You have to know what size is correct for your particular child. And I get asked this question all the time. And basically it boils down to the three criteria. Eyesight, portability, and motor abilities. You want to make sure those small ones are awful tiny. Can your student, can your child see those small letters and icons? Are they able to touch them? Or do they need the bigger size? And in that case, you would want the iPad. And the iPad is also great for desktop work because it is bigger and the kids can use it a little bit easier and they don't have to hold it really close to their faces. However, if they're going to be traveling with their devices quite a bit, then the smaller size is preferable. So you're going to have to take a good look at your students, their abilities, and what they're using them for. So size is something to consider. And Apple is throwing another one into the pot. If you can see that big one next year, I think we're getting a 12.9-inch iPad. Oh my gosh. So now there's a fourth size to choose from. I think that's wonderful. I think our kids who have low vision or use it on their desktops a lot, that's going to be excellent. So that's coming next year. Okay, here is an iPad user guide, and you can get it from iBooks. It's a free user guide, very easy to follow, and great instructions, and it tells you about each and every feature that there is to offer. Now, during this webinar, it's not my intent to go into every single feature into the details. I just want to cover what's out there and just kind of tell you that there are these great things out there. There's stuff for low vision children with hearing challenges, children with motor challenges, and just kind of share with you all the wonderful things out there. And then the iPad user guide, you can further go and look for the details there. Here's some helpful features on the iPad. First of all, if your desktop is getting very crowded, you're going to want to use folders. And you're going to want to label these folders like expressive language, receptive language, games, and so on and so forth. And basically what you do is you just hold down an icon until it starts to wiggle, and then you drag it over on top of another icon. And then it will create a folder for you. And then you can label it. I think I have one here labeled utilities. And within there, there's games. So you can drag as many games as you want in there, and that will be your child's folder. That way you can keep your desktop or your front screen nice and clear. It doesn't get quite so cluttered. Screenshots. Excellent way to save student or children's work. If there is something that your child, your student has created that day that is just absolutely wonderful, take a screenshot, save it. And you do that by touching the sleep wake button on the top and the home button at the same time. And it'll click like a camera, and then you have saved whatever is on your screen, and it goes right into your camera roll. At that point, if it's really cool, you can email it to mom, dad, grandma, or someone important in their life, and they can share what they created. Capturing images. This is important if you're creating some books for your child, those open-ended books where you need to talk about, say you're doing one on fruit, so you want to go into your Google image search and you want to pick out beautiful pictures of apples and bananas and oranges. And then what you're going to do is you're simply going to touch on them and hold it for a second, and you're going to get that little sign that says Save Image and Copy. Now, if you click on Save Image, it sends that image directly to your camera roll, and now you can use it to create books or visual supports for your student. So saving images is really important, and you can do that right from your Google image search. And you can create lots of image libraries. Opening and closing apps. There's some pros and cons here. You're going to want to close your apps probably every couple days, and that's a pro because they take up energy. Your apps don't quit running once you click the home button and click out of them. They stay running in the background, and it uses up your battery life. So you're going to want to double-click the home button and then put your finger on the image and slide it upward. And this is new to iOS 7. You're going to clear out your images at least every 2 days, or else they're just going to keep running and running and running. Now, the positive thing about that is that since the apps do keep running, they run in the exact same spot you shut them down in. So if you have a student that you turn your back for one moment, let's say you're working on a nice communication app, and you turn your back because someone walked in the door, and all of a sudden they're into YouTube, and they're looking at Thomas the Train. Oh my gosh, how do you get back to your communication app nice and easily? Well, it's still running in the same spot you left it. So you're going to want to double tap the home button, and you see it pop up there, and then you just tap on it, and it comes right back up to the same spot you left it. Therefore, you don't have to start all over again. So that's kind of nice. I've had a couple kids do that. They click out of my, if I'm working on literacy or spelling or something, and I turn my back, they click out of there, and they go into Temple Run. And then I just turn around and double-click the home button and get them right back to where they were. And it just gives me, again, a little more control, and we don't lose our spot. And we just keep moving on. So that's opening and closing apps. Okay, now here's a biggie, accessibility feature. This is great, and it's gotten so much larger. Every time Apple comes out with a new running system, they add more and more features. So we have features for vision, we have features for hearing, we have features for learning and physical motor, if you have physical motor problems, challenges. So let's go over a few of these accessibility features that are so important. The first one that is one of the best, this is what we asked Apple for when the iPad first came out, is a way to hold a child into an app, such as a communication app, because it's very important that these devices can stay with these children throughout their school day or throughout when they're at home. And if we want them studying math, but we also want them to have their iPad and we don't want them playing, we can lock them into a communication app or any app out there simply by choosing guided access. Now what you have to do, you have to go into your settings, you have to go into general, into accessibility, and then turn on guided access. Once you turn it on, you set up a passcode, and then you're ready to go. So you turn on your communication app, and we chose Inner Voice, and you triple click the home button, and then it's going to ask you to start. So then you simply just say start, and it will just run your communication app, and as many times as your child or student tries to click out of it, they cannot do it. You can get out by triple clicking the home button again and entering in your access code, and that will end guided access, and then it's just a regular iPad again. So this is a really important feature for teachers, therapists, or even family members who just want only the communication available, because it's important. These have become some of our children's voices, and they should have them with them all the time. But we don't want them always playing. We want them to be available to communicate, but we don't want them just spending hours and hours on YouTube. So guided access is a great answer for that. Also on guided access, it lets you what we call kill some buttons. Say your child is asking for Cheetos, and they tend to hit the button quite a bit. So you're going to hear Cheetos, 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 or cookie, 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 and you want to kill that button. So there's a choice down at the bottom that says kill the button, and then you just circle the button that you don't want the child to be able to choose, and when they touch it, it doesn't activate. It actually kills the button. So we have that ability. Or maybe something's not even available today. Maybe TV is not available for some reason, so you just simply kill the button, and then if they touch TV, it won't activate it. It won't say TV. And you can just say, oh, we don't have it today. So that's guided access. It helps us out a lot. Switch control. This is fabulous for students who have difficulty with fine motor and gross motor movement. We have switches for these iPads. We have them in 3 different formats. We have external switches, which you can see the big red one, the red and yellow one, and the small brown one. And what's going to happen is on your iPad, you're going to see grids, and you're going to see a blue square crossing those grids. And when it gets to the app or to the button you want to activate, you're just going to hit the switch, and it activates that button. That's fabulous. This is, the iPads have come such a long way. So that's the external switches. The iPad itself, the screen of the iPad can be used as a switch. So again, we have a grid system that will outline all the icons in a light blue box, and it goes across and diagonally. And when you tap the screen of the iPad, that activates it, and that will activate the icon that it stops on. That's fabulous. So now you have 2 different ways for students or your child to access the iPad. And the newest one, which is really nice, is the camera. And I'm going to show you. The camera lets you activate your iPad with head movement. So you can set it up. Again, it's going to scan your iPad like a grid. And you're going to select different movements for your left head movement and your right head movement. And you can see way over to the box that's farthest to the right, you can select if you want to stop scanning, if you want to move to a previous item, the next item. You have all kinds of choices that you can set up your right head movement and your left head movement too. So there's 3 different, shall we say, external ways to guide your iPad for those kids who have motor challenges. This is really nice. The iPad has, every time a new operating system comes out, we get great new features, and this is one of the greatest new features. It's still a little bit, I'm going to say we tried it out a couple times, it's still a little bit glitchy, but they're getting there and they're moving in the right direction, and it does work. You just got to have your iPad in the optimal spot. You got to find your sweet spot. So, voiceover. This is excellent. Also, this is for our children or adults with low vision. It will, again, work in the grid system, and it will, it speaks everything you tap. I'm sorry, it doesn't work in a grid system. I back up on that. That was something else. It speaks everything you touch. So if you touch an icon, it will tell you what the icon is. So if you touched on the App Store icon, it will say this is the App Store icon. And if that's what you want to choose, then you simply double tap, and that will open it. And then it starts reading everything that's in the App Store. This is great for folks with low vision. However, I work with a lot of students that are on the spectrum. They touch the screen a lot, so some of them, it drives them crazy because they're always tapping the screen, and it really does just keep saying everything that you touch. So there's a better choice for our kids on the spectrum, and that is speak selection. This feature lets you highlight text from anywhere. It could be text that you have written. It could be book text. It can be anything that you find on the internet. It can be emails. You simply highlight it, and then you tap speak. You have to turn this on in your settings. So again, go to your settings, turn on speak selection, and then highlight the text you'd like to speak, and then tap the speak button. It will speak all your words for you. It's wonderful. I think we now have both a male voice and a female voice. You can slow the voice down. You can speed the voice up, depending on your preferences. So that is speak selection. Have that running on all your iPads. It doesn't do anything until you activate it, and sometimes you just really need it. I know a lot of folks will find some book to read, and they'll let their children or their students just listen to it for a while because they're trying to train their ears to listen to this new kind of a digitized speech. So this is an excellent one. Okay. Subtitles and captioning. This is another feature that I have running on all my iPads. Not only does it help with people who have hearing difficulties, but it helps with literacy. Oh my gosh, to be able to see the subtitles, kids are starting to learn to read like this. Again, just go to your settings and turn on where it says closed caption plus SDH. You can choose what kind of subtitles you want to see. You can create any style you want to see. It's going to help with those kids who also have difficulty with auditory processing. If they can see the words, see the people's mouths moving, they may be able to connect that the words aren't all one word. We have some kids who, when they hear a sentence, to them it sounds like all one word. But if they see the sentence broken up into smaller parts, then they realize it's not all one word. It's many smaller words put together. So this is a fabulous thing to have turned on to all your iPads. It's just a switch. You can create your own style, and you can support hearing, literacy, and auditory processing all at the same time. It's really, really cool. Great feature. It's brand new also. Zoom. This is great for low vision. This is also great for me. I have low vision, and sometimes I just can't see the details. Zoom is a feature where, again, you have to turn it on. And then what you do is you take 3 fingers, and you just tap the screen with 3 fingers, and it just zooms it right up. You can see how big those icons are there. And then when you're done looking at it, you tap with 3 fingers again, and it zooms it back down to normal size. This is kind of good for if you're looking at pictures with your students or your children, and you're trying to find little tiny details. Well, you just zoom them in and zoom them out, and the kids get really impressed with that. And not only that, then they try to do it, and now they're trying to isolate 3 fingers. So it's a great motor activity also. And large text. This is on every single iPad. It's always been there. It takes the text from your mail, your notes, your contacts, your calendar, and your messages, and it makes it any size you need it to be, up to 56 point text. What I do is when I'm working with a particular student, I just show them this and say, you know, what size do you want? And they choose. They all have a choice. They all have a preference. And when we're setting up their iPads, most of them will pick somewhere around 24 or 32, so they like it a little bit bigger, a little bit easier to see. So try this, and it's helpful for some kids. Inverted colors. Oh, this is one of my favorite ones. There's some of those students maybe dyslexic or have visual sensory processing challenges. Try this. It's not going to work for everybody, but it does work really good for some kids. And if you have some kids who are looking out the side of their eyes, the ones who flick their fingers on the side of their eyes, those are kids with visual sensory processing challenges. Try inverting colors with them. It may make a huge difference. I would say for me, 2 out of 10 kids love this. It really makes a difference. It makes it so much easier for them to look at the screen. And it's simply a matter of going into your settings and just turning it on or off. You can turn it on, try it out. If it doesn't work or they don't like it, just turn it back off. It's excellent. So it's called inverted colors. Multitasking gestures. Again, you have to turn it on in your settings. It doesn't come automatically. And as you can see on the picture, it allows you to take your 4 fingers and you can swipe the screen back to the right and to the left. And it will open up the apps that you were just using. For instance, if I was using a communication app and then I decided to work on some literacy, so I went to a book app and we were reading the book and the child wanted to say something, well, I don't want to close down my book app and then open up a communication app and start all over again. So I simply take 4 fingers, swipe the screen over, and right there is my communication app. The child says what he wants to say, and then I take my 4 fingers and I swipe them back, and now I have my book app open again. So it saves you a step. Give it a try. It takes a little bit of practice to get that swipe down right so that it's nice and smooth. But it makes you easily swiping back and forth between apps, and it's great for communication because you don't have to open and shut apps to get back into your communication app, and you can still do other things. Okay, and I don't know, Tyler, were there any questions? I don't know if I... Hello?
Yeah.
I think I got right on time here. I think we should have a couple questions.
You did great. You did great, Lois. Yeah, do you want to tell us a bit about maybe the latest and greatest technology, or is there a certain app that is of significance that you want to cover?
Well, there's a couple that are out now that are really taking everything that the iPad has to offer and really kind of exploited all those really great things about the iPad. One of them is, it's called Pines to Vines, and it's a textbook. And it really gives you can read this textbook, and it gives you interactive videos, and it gives you visual representations. You can change the reading level. There's 5 different reading levels. You can change the reading level on the fly. That way every single student in class can be reading the same science lesson at their own reading level. They're looking at videos, they're looking at animation. It just kind of brings the information to life. And that's fabulous. And for the teachers and the therapists, these textbooks also then give you comprehension questions. And you can take the results of that and you can email them to family members or yourself and just keep track of what's going on. That's fabulous. It's called Crack the Books. And again, it takes every little single part of the iPad and uses it. The other latest greatest is one that I came up with, and I think you can see a picture here of a little redheaded girl. And this is a communication app. It's an AAC app, and it works similar to every other AAC app out there. However, the picture will talk. So you can import a picture of your child, your student, yourself. You can import a picture of Spock from Star Trek, and that picture will say those words. It's animated, it kind of looks around, it blinks its eyes, and it gives the students that thing that we've been missing with AAC apps, which is engagement. It's really engaging for them to see themselves or their favorite character talking, and it makes them want to talk some more. So those are just a couple of the newest things coming out on the market. It's fabulous. This technology has been a wonder for our students.
Lois, can I ask, does Buttercup come preloaded on that app to talk?
He can. I can put his picture in and make him talk.
Yeah, Buttercup is the
No,
pig.
he's my low tech. If I can't capture you with high tech, I'm going to bring in Buttercup.
I love
and
it.
he's going to capture you.
I love it.
Oh, there's one other thing I want to say, Tyler, if I just had a minute.
Sure.
Updates. It's super important to keep your iPad updated at all times. The latest, the iOS 7, I know a lot of people haven't got it yet, but it's really nice. It gives you more features. It runs smoother. It runs better. The kids, the students love it. Initially, they look at it and they say, ooh, pretty, but then they get it. It's nothing to worry about. The students will get it. They like it. Update your apps. Developers are always fixing bugs, constantly upgrading, and you just want to make sure that you're running the best possible iOS system and the best possible version of the app out there so that everything just kind of goes smoothly. I think that's real important. I see people bring in their iPads and there's like 200 updates. I'm like, oh my gosh. So that's my last tip.
All right, Lois. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. This does conclude today's program. Feel free to join us next week as we learn about transitioning issues through and after high school by Cindy Fisher. So everybody, I hope you have a great week, and we will see you next Wednesday.